humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraaf.
And I'm Cathrine, co-host and bestie.
Welcome to the Pod Lab, Cathrine.
Glad to be here. It feels good. The desk is out.
Yes.
It was a beautiful desk, but now your space is more open and...
Our space.
Our
the
space.
The Pod Lab, Cathrine. It's in my home, but it's our space.
My bad.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, we are remodeling the Pod Lab, getting ready for video. Catherine's like, I'm not doing it. Yes, you are. We are adding video in 2024, so we're very excited about that.
Yeah, in 2024, we're halfway through it.
Yeah.
But it's not over yet.
We will have video by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And part of that is transforming the space into like a video studio type thing. And I had this giant desk. I'm just going to talk about it for a minute because I didn't plan
Why
on
not?
it. But yeah, right. It's our podcast. We can do what we want. This giant desk, a beauty. It is a beauty, and it's unique.
Right.
It's a vintage
it's
antique.
a unique antique.
It is.
Yeah.
And it locks,
Mm.
and it has 2 keys that are still with it.
Well,
That's a miracle.
Yeah, that is.
And I received it for free from our friend Lindy. She received it for free from somebody else who told her that it was somebody's family's doctor's desk.
Oh.
So I felt really smart when I sat at that desk. I was like, I got something to say.
Yeah, that's right. I recall that now.
Yeah, and the surface of it is ginormous. So you can fit 2 monitors and a keyboard and some accessories and an inbox and a plant, and your lunch and your coffee, all the stuff.
And the drawer space, too.
The drawer space is amazing.
Yeah.
Files, papers, office supplies, all of that. The problem is I need extra sleeping space for my children when they come to visit.
Right.
And they couldn't sleep on that. I mean, they could, but it wouldn't be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did have the boys come, I would blow up a mattress and shove everything to the side. And I moved like our Pod Lab table that we're sitting at right now. I moved it out to the garage, or Ron did,
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of moving.
Yeah.
And so we're redoing the floor. The carpet's going out. We're getting a rug. We're getting vinyl plank flooring. We're getting we're going to block that light that's coming in.
Mm.
We have to, Cathrine, if we're doing video. Otherwise, it's going to glare. She's sad. We're going to have artificial light. It'll be fine.
Great.
Okay. Anyway, so stay tuned. We'll update you as we go. It's going to be a load of fun. But let's talk about today.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to episode number 180.
That's exciting.
I know.
180 consecutive episodes.
It's a miracle.
Oh.
Because we're not consistent at much.
No.
We stay married to our spouses and we do the podcast. And we
stay
with
parenting.
Jesus. Oh, yeah. We can't get away from that. If you think you can quit parenting, there's something wrong with you.
Some people do. I just, drop off.
There ain't no quitting parenting.
Yes.
Anywho, 180 episodes later, here we are, still producing the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast, where you, friends, can tune in for a weekly dose of fun.
And you could sponsor us.
Yes, please do.
Mm-hmm.
Tell our listeners, Cathrine, about our sponsorship program.
You can sponsor us by going on tracydegraaf.com, or you can just click on her email that she sends you and contribute $5 a month, or you can do 1 month sum. But it's very simple. Like I said, go on tracydegraaf.com, follow the prompts, and give generously.
Yes, do. With pride in your heart.
Or humility.
Or love.
Or whatever. What it's about is just helping support us. We pay for a platform every month, and then plus we really need some training.
We're getting there.
And video equipment and all this stuff.
Olivia is going to train us how to do the video editing.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
Yeah. And she costs money. So
yeah, I was just going to say.
She's not
for free.
She's not a volunteer.
Right.
So, yeah, we do have expenses, friends. And if you enjoy the podcast, support us, sponsor us. We would be so encouraged to receive a $5 a month sponsorship from this episode right here. Wouldn't we?
Yes. Sorry. I have an itch on my foot. And I was trying to get it. And then you asked me a question. I had to pop back up.
Oh, see, video is going to help.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
I cannot stand it. I don't know how anchor people.
Cathrine right now is taking her sock off. I wish this was on video right now.
Oh, my goodness.
And she's scratching her foot.
It was an itch that would not go away.
All right. Are we going to get started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on.
Let's do it.
Don't let me stop you.
All right. Okay. So every week we bring you an episode. We pick a topic. Today, the topic is control freak.
Mm-hmm.
That's our topic.
Right.
We're going to give you the characteristics of a control freak, in case you don't know.
Just in case.
And if you're not aware,
Well, then you're lucky.
Well, or it might be you. Maybe you're the control freak.
Yeah.
So we're going to go over that. And Cathrine, what are you going to share? You have some things to share as well.
I'm going to share how to outsmart one.
Okay, I have my doubts about the possibility of that.
Well,
how to try to outsmart one.
I don't have too many doubts about it.
All right, well, good. Well, I can't wait to hear what you have to say. As always, we have a call to action at the end and a little bit of spiritual inspiration, so stay tuned. All right, do you want to go first or you don't want me to go first?
No, we should talk about what one is first.
Well, let me give you the characteristics that I found. Here are 7 characteristics of a control freak, okay? Critical and judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
That's listed as one characteristic.
Right.
If a person is always judging and assessing and verbalizing. And this person has strong opinions on how things should be.
Oh, yeah.
Things should be like this because I think they should be like that. So they don't have a lot of room for errors.
They're not flexible.
Not a lot of room for minor mistakes. I would even say maybe not very gracious.
Oh, I would say that too.
Okay. So that's one characteristic. Number 2, they're perfectionist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They may be a type A personality who strives for perfection and they lack spontaneity.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if there's no plan, there's no,
Yeah. Then they freak out.
Yeah.
If there's not a plan because they can't just wing it.
It might feel like it's a little chaotic.
Right.
Yeah. That just, for some reason, it reminds me of the time.
I saw your smile.
I know. It reminds me of the time that the 4 of us, you and I and our husbands, got into my little bitty car and drove to Florida.
In the middle of the winter.
Yeah.
Snowstorm.
Yeah. We were supposed to fly and there was an ice storm. And we said, forget it. We're just getting in the car. And
Last minute.
We just threw our bags in the car. It started going south.
And we had our tickets and everything.
Whatever. Anyway, we did it. It was for my 50th birthday.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun. And Cathrine and I were sitting in the back seat of this little tiny car. And at first we're all excited. It's a road trip. It's an adventure. And by the time we got to Southern Illinois and Kentucky, our legs were all cramped up.
Oh,
remember we were
still exciting.
We were sticking our feet on our husband's shoulders.
I had to swing my feet over to you at one point. And I was like, sorry, but I have RLS. So got to take care of it.
Okay, third characteristic of a potential control freak is they're uncooperative.
Yeah.
They may not be a good team player, and they may try to dictate the behavior of others.
Annoying. Oops. Did I just say that?
Well, I mean, it definitely can be hard to deal with.
Stifling.
Yeah, hard to deal with. Okay. Fourth characteristic of a control freak, unwilling to delegate.
Yeah, because they want to control.
Yeah. They may refuse to delegate tasks or they micromanage others. They do. So if they do give you a task, they micromanage you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think oftentimes they just feel like they know how to do it. They're going to do it better than you. Or you might drop the ball.
Right. And they just cannot rest knowing it's not done the way they want it.
Yeah.
So
number 5, a control freak is oftentimes unreasonable. They may believe that they know what's best for any situation and may refuse to admit when they're wrong.
I like I don't like it, but it said that they feel they know best in any situation. Yeah. How can you possibly know best in every situation? You can't.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that's part of it is that brings comfort if they feel like they know something.
Yeah.
I don't know. They are obviously controlling. It's in the title, control freak. They may try to manipulate or pressure others to change, or they trespass on people's boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
The word ultimatum comes into my mind when, with that, if somebody has a boundary and then a controlling person will say, well, if you don't do this, then I don't do that or whatever, to get their way.
Right.
because they might feel just like out of control and like this is chaotic and I want X to happen.
Yeah, right. That's their way of trying to control the situation.
Yeah. And then finally, number 7 characteristic that I found of a control freak is they're very frustrated. They may get angry or frustrated, like while driving, and they may put down other people, on the road for little things, that one wouldn't normally get frustrated with.
Yeah.
I also found another article that just gives this one is the 9 signs that you're dealing with a control freak. I'll just read these quickly. Number 1, they have a tendency to correct people. Number 2, they are judgmental and critical about other people. Number 3, they are not at all team players. So these are collaborating with the others.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, they do not like to share credit for their success.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, they refuse to admit when they are wrong. Number 6, they believe that they know what is best for any situation. Number 7, they act like the Messiah who prevents bad things from occurring. Okay. Number 8, they can hold a grudge.
Oh, yeah.
And number 9, they want to win all arguments.
Ugh. Well, I've had a couple annoying people in my life.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not me, right?
No.
When I was going over all those characteristics of a control freak,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds exhausting to me to be like that.
Yeah.
Like, I know you and I talked before we came on the air that everybody can be a little bit controlling from time to time.
I can be.
But to be obsessively so sounds exhausting.
Well, it would be especially because, as it was pointed out in your list there, they're frustrated because you can't possibly control everything and everyone. So, of course, you're going to be frustrated. Because when something goes against your will for it to happen, or whatever it might be, that's going to frustrate somebody.
Yeah.
So, yeah. One thing that wasn't listed on there that I was thinking about is pride. Controlling people have a pride issue as well.
Some of the research that I did shared some of like the mental health reasons why people jump to being controlling.
Mm-hmm.
And pride wasn't necessarily shared among those that I looked at. They said more of insecurity is a big reason why people control.
Yeah.
So if somebody's feeling insecure in themselves, that's not rooted in pride. It's more rooted in fear. It's fear that somebody's gonna abandon me, fear that I'm gonna be rejected or whatever.
Absolutely.
And then there are a lot of insecurities, and then those things just sort of symptomize themselves out there, and then you're trying to control situations so that you don't feel that fear.
Fear, right. Absolutely. I think I was thinking more of when someone always has to be right. It makes me think about pride. So I think I just threw it in there. But
it could be. It definitely could be because we're all guilty of pride, and it takes humility to really, like we just talked about that. It takes humility to come before the Lord.
Yeah.
How can you be saved if you don't have humility?
Exactly. Right.
But I want to just address the fact that in case if somebody is listening and they have a controlling person in their life, or perhaps they're struggling being a controlling person and they don't want to be in that position.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage people to seek the help and support, obviously not with this podcast to fix this problem. But we're obviously not professionals, Kat. I don't know if you noticed, but there's no letters behind our name except LOL, It's not like
MOM.
Yeah. MOM, LOL. But we're common sense gals.
Oh, for sure.
And we can encourage our listening audience, if you have a person in your life who is exhibiting these characteristics that we just described, and or if you say to yourself, yeah, you know what? I'm struggling. I'm trying to control things and I don't want to.
Yeah.
Find a way to get some help with that.
Right.
Through the professionals who deal with that, which would be, i.e., therapist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I have a control issue, when I feel out of control, when I get all fearful, it's when I'm a passenger in a car. But if I'm driving, I don't really feel that way because I feel like I'm in control. I'm in control of the gas pedal, the steering wheel, how fast we go, how slow we go, when we merge. That's when I feel Like, really, I'm in control. And that's probably why I fear, being on an airplane so much, because it's so out of control. You can't see the pilot. He or she is hidden away. Who God knows what they're doing up there while they're flying, 150 people. What did they do before? Were they in the bar at the airport? I feel really out of control.
Did they get a good night's sleep?
Exactly. Are they dealing with some mental issues at home? It's a very out of control thing, and I can't stand it.
Do you know, side note, my nephew is a pilot.
Oh my gosh.
My nephew.
Yes.
My nephew, Jake.
Yes.
Okay, Jake DeGraaf. He's a pilot.
He's young.
Well, he's not young. He's a young man, but he's, what is he, like 30?
30?
I think he's 30. And he's had all the thousands of hours in the plane and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not the pilot, the captain. He's the guy next to him.
The co-pilot?
Whatever. I don't know what they call him. But here's the thing. We just saw him at a family gathering.
Oh, God.
And I haven't seen Jake in a long time. So, because he's busy, right? Doing the thing with the planes and such. And I so badly wanted to say to him, I did not say this, but I wanted to say, Jake, just tell me.
Oh, no.
Like when you're in the cockpit, does anybody ever just go, oops?
Please, if you find out, do not share it with me.
Well, I think I didn't ask because I really don't want to know.
Yeah. Oh.
And he flies out of all these major, like he's based in Atlanta.
Okay.
Atlanta is the busiest airport that we have in the United States.
Yeah, it's even busier than O'Hare now, isn't it?
It is. It has been for a long time.
Oh.
Just saying. Just saying. I have an agency.
Oh, God.
That's a throwback to another episode.
Yes.
Anyway, somebody in our family did say something about, Atlanta, that's like the busiest airport. And he said, yeah. And then they said, is it safe or something? He goes, it's totally safe. So, and he said it with so much confidence.
Oh, good.
So there's a lot of safety, around that. But
you got to trust those people. You got to trust the air traffic control people.
You do. And Jake's a Marine. So,
so he's used to discipline.
He's got it together.
Mm-hmm.
He does. So
very good.
Good on you, Jake.
I feel better.
If you're listening. Hey, Jake. Jakey.
Hi, Jake. Do you think he listens?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
I hope he doesn't, because I hope he's not sitting in the cockpit listening to us.
Oh, yeah, right.
What? What'd you say? I was listening to Aunt Tracy and her friend Cathrine.
Oh, gosh.
They're talking about air travel.
Feeling out of control.
All right. Well, that's all I have from the research that I shared, but I'd like to hear about yours now.
Okay.
How do you outsmart one?
How do you outsmart a control freak? Now, this was written by a couple doctors, so we can, take it for who they are, not who I am, because I didn't write this. Well, it says here, we all know one, right? The insufferable person who micromanages and treats you like you're completely incompetent. No one else is allowed to have ideas. Your judgment isn't trusted, and your contributions aren't appreciated. A control freak in the workplace. So this is going to address workplace issues, but you can switch it up to like any family, situation. Yeah.
Church. Marriage. Friend.
Oh, it was singular. What was it singular?
See?
Okay. Anyway,
go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead here.
Okay.
I have my own ideas. A control freak in the workplace is a totally toxic, confidence and happiness killing distraction no one needs.
Amen.
But you cannot change them. In fact, trying to change a control freak to make them respect you, appreciate you, or even just stop being such an overbearing nuisance in your life will make you crazy. It's an exercise in futility, right? Yes. They're constantly going to be disapproving of how you do things. Even if you try to do things their way, you won't live up to a control freak's standards. So, step 1, accept that you cannot change a control freak. So, what's left to do? Well, outsmart them. The control freak in your workplace or wherever is an enormous, immovable obstacle. You can't get rid of it, so you're going to have to learn how to go around it, and here's how. Number 1, recognize when you're being worked over. So, what does that mean? It's crucial to listen for ways a controlling person tries to enter your mind and dictate your reality. An example is they might say to you, here, I'll finish that. And then you wonder to yourself, like, have you ever done that? Like, I'm doing this, not you. And then you start thinking things like, oh, are they talking about it? Well, you have to just stop. Control freaks love, love, love to get inside your head like this. Stop giving them the pleasure of succeeding.
You know what went through my mind?
I could tell something.
When you said, like, somebody would take your work off your plate and say, let me do it, I would go, okay.
You might in some situations, but no.
I don't know.
If it was your thing and your task, right, and you're completely competent. In fact, imagine if you were doing what you're assigned to do. That's your thing. And someone at work just completely stomps over that and takes over your creative piece.
Yeah,
writing.
I suppose that it does depend on the situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a million different scenarios that you could describe, and it would have to be being done with a malicious intent.
Exactly. Right. Like, I could see you if you're like helping clean with a mop. Someone says, "Let me take over." You'd be like, "Oh, thank God! I was waiting for you to ask." But if you're sitting there writing,
I ain't no dummy, Catherine.
This is true.
I'm smart.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
Number 2, don't try to control a control freak. Talk about paddling upstream. Trying to assert control over someone determined to retain it is pointless. Okay, I think I read that wrong, but anyway. So this doctor advises, be healthily assertive rather than controlling. Stay confident and refuse to play the victim. Most important, always take a consistent, targeted approach. Control freaks love a good power struggle. Playing into it never ends well.
I think that the control freak issue is baked in the cake, meaning it's systemic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just showed up yesterday.
No, right.
This is something that is a part of a person's personality.
Yeah.
It is how they roll.
Yeah.
It is what they do, who they are. And it's going to have to be a growth journey for all parties involved to be in relationship with a control freak.
For sure.
Whether it's a personal relationship or a work relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, because I was listening to somebody a psychologist that talked about how to possibly, work with a control freak. But he said that there's dangers to it.
Well, yeah.
Because you're not going to change their ultimate where that's coming from.
No. But you have to figure out how to deal with it when they're in your life. You have to learn how to roll pretty much away from it, and deal with it, because there's some people in some people's lives, they're in there.
Yeah.
It could be a close family member.
Right.
And you've got to learn some strategies.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, hopefully, too, you can preserve yourself. If you're in connection with a control freak, to learn how to put your own boundaries in place so that you're not like falling apart, unraveling, totally drained, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I remember complaining to a friend about this controlling person in my life that just kept going against the boundaries I had set, like giving me their crap and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And physical crap.
Yeah.
I mean, physical stuff, I'll put it that way. And my friend said, why don't you just learn to say, thank you? And then when that person goes away, throw it out. And I said, I don't know. I don't know why I don't try that. And it was an eye-opener for me.
Yeah. So what you're describing is somebody was trying to give you stuff that you didn't want, but you didn't want to say no to the stuff because the person wanted you to have it. They wanted to get rid of it.
No, I did say no several times, but the person just overstepped those boundaries.
I see.
And kept doing it anyway. And it just frustrated me to the point of, it was overspilling in this conversation I had with the friend.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
All right, what else?
Okay, number 3, perfect your scratched record technique. If you feel like talking to the control freak in your life is like talking to a brick wall, it's not your imagination. and this is kind of what I'm talking about that I encountered. They've already decided how things are going to go. You're just window dressing. This counselor says control freaks are a master of arguing. Your ideas and opinions simply get lost in their clever rhetoric. Don't take the bait. Instead, she says, just keep it simple. Employ the scratched record technique. State and restate what you believe, feel, or need. And that kind of is opposite of what I just said, where my friend was like, just say thank you and, just
get rid of it.
Or whatever, just let it go. And so I guess you could do both of those. But other ways that you can outsmart the control freak in your life, try to understand what drives their controlling behavior. Are they fearful of their own failure or perhaps power hungry? You don't have to accept it, but knowing what motivates them can help you figure out how to deal with each new aggression. Keep a neutral gaze, expression, and tone of voice when speaking with. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. I've used that practice myself as well.
Just keeping your tone level.
Expression, yeah.
We just had a sermon at church about truth, and emotions were mentioned in the sermon, and our pastor used a metaphor of a train, and he said that oftentimes emotions drive the train, but the emotions of our life, but our emotions really should be the caboose. And the engine of the train should be, our spirit and our God guiding us, and our mind and our intellect in control, and the emotions are way in the back somewhere just following along, where oftentimes it's the opposite.
Yeah, that's very...
that is true of everybody.
Yeah.
To some level.
Right. And one last suggestion, make it clear that you're committed to working with them or living with them, whatever the case might be, but let them know your boundaries and that they're non-negotiable. But finally, move on if it's unbearable. Your life's too short and precious to live miserably under the thumb of an unrepentant control freak. And if there's a matter of safety or security, then you really have got to, go get help or talk to an authority or something. So
I think that there's always hope, for growth, and we should aspire to that. We should aspire to growth.
Oh, in everything. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All the time.
When you and I were first talking about control freaks, I was like, I don't think I've ever really had a close relationship who is that way. And I'm so grateful for that. But I do remember somebody in college who was like that, and I had to work with that person, and it was difficult. It was like she had a chip on her shoulder. We were all working for the newspaper. We were students, working for the newspaper. And she just had this chip on her shoulder and was just like always rushing through the newsroom, and everything was a big crisis. And, we're a student newspaper. We're not the Chicago Sun, Times or anything. It's like, that's a Tribune. It's a newspaper.
Yeah.
And there was no joy that I could see there. And then there was a lot of anger. And I just did my best to try to view her from the perspective of she's human being. She's loved by God. She's created in God's image. And for some reason, I was homesick because it was my first time away from home. I was visualizing her parents, her mother specifically, missing her. And that connection that they would have, like when she would go home on breaks and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just tenderized my own situation. Nothing changed. She never got a bit better. At all.
They say they don't.
Well, she didn't. I hope that she's not still running through life like that, because that is a stressful way to live. But my heart changed. And maybe that brings some hope or encouragement to somebody out there who's listening, who's like, yeah, I have a person in my life that is pretty type A. They're pretty controlling. It's their way or the highway. Maybe if you can visualize, their relationship with their spouse or their child or with God, and try to tenderize your heart a little bit, it'll help you.
Hopefully.
I hope. It helped me.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I didn't take it so personal, because I did observe. I was a young woman. I was 18 years old, so I was young and I was just dumb. But I did observe that it wasn't me. I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
It was the way she was with everybody.
Yeah, you recognized it was her issue.
I did.
Yeah. That's very helpful.
Very mature of me at 18. Just say.
That's true.
Yeah. Anything else that you wanted to say about control freaks?
No.
All right. Well, then we will bring this to a close. We have some scripture to share with you from the book of Matthew, chapter 20, verses 25 to 26. It says this: Jesus called them together and said, "You know that rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant."
Mm-hmm.
And share with our listeners why you picked that verse, Cathrine.
Because that teaching encourages leadership through service rather than control, and emphasizing humility over authority. Yeah.
You know, if you want to look at a really good example of not being a control freak, look at God.
Mm-hmm.
God gave us the ability to choose him or not to choose him.
Right.
He gave us free will.
Choices.
He could have made us so that we just instinctively chose him.
Right.
But he didn't want to control that love.
Right.
Because what kind of relationship is that?
Yeah.
You know, if I was controlling you to be my best friend and said, you can't have any other friend.
Yeah.
By the way, did you get that little video I sent you like a week ago of, I like to send Cathrine these little videos and memes and stuff of besties. And there was a meme or a little video that said, when I see my bestie out to lunch with somebody else.
I didn't.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Wow.
And it was little kids, like at a little kid table having lunch. And the other girl, who would be me in the picture, right? She comes barreling through with her little motorized car, knocks over the table and crashes into it.
One of the favorite ones that I have that you sent me, and I still will sometimes, if I'm just by myself or washing dishes, and I'll make the sound of it because it makes me giggle. It's like this puppet, and it said, "Okay, so I know that you have other friends." And the puppet like makes a groan, like it's so stinking funny to me.
It's hilarious. Oh, she snorted. We got a one snort podcast. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, it's great that you have a friendship, right?
Yeah.
We have a friendship that has just been nurtured naturally. There's nobody controlling anybody else. Nobody's a hostage here, you know, stuff like that. But it can be arranged. And so I think that is a beautiful relationship to look at for guidance in our human relationships.
Yeah.
Just love people, meet them where they are, you know, have a lot of grace.
Yeah.
A lot of forgiveness.
Right. It's like that old saying, if you love something, set it free. If it loves you, it'll come back.
Yeah.
Give that freedom, you know.
For sure. And our call to action today, as we always try to give you a little something, is to really be mindful of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can't control other people with their controlling behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
But we can be mindful of ourselves and try to look at ways that we try to manipulate and make changes there.
Yeah. Just real quick, I just had this memory. When the kids would want one of my children, Ellis, would like to bake, or if I even felt like doing it with Emily, I felt out of control when like the flour would be everywhere in the mess, you know, and so I would be controlling and I would take over, you know, because I couldn't stand the mess and things like that. So it just, I don't know. I just had this vision of, oh, boo.
Well, you didn't ruin her. She's a great baker.
True. But anyway, I was just thinking about moments of, you know, having control.
Yeah. Repent.
I just did. Forgive me, Ellis and Emily.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, friends, you've been listening to the Life Happens Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian Tracy DeGraaf.
I'm still Cathrine.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.